Thank you, Minister McEntee. In my speech, I wish to bring attention to the possible data protection issues that may arise because of this legislation. While technology brings new opportunities to deal with the crisis of law and order nationwide, it is important that we do so while respecting civil liberties and the citizens' right to privacy. Following lots of public consultation and increased crime activity in my own area of Tralee and Donore, I was involved in setting up the CCTV system there, which did include at the time the ANPR. This system has helped to make the community safer. This has given me an insight into the data protection issues facing all the relevant parties. Since it was installed, the ANPR had to be removed off that system, so it no longer has, it is a recording, but it no longer has the ANPR software on it. In my speech, I will summarise a range of compliance issues which could arise because of this legislation and other issues which we need to anticipate. This bill will provide for automatic number plate recognition without judicial approval, searching databases for retained ANPR data, which is not defined. Potentially sharing this data with other bodies risks violating our existing data protection and could amount to government overreach. Similarly, any secret tracking of vehicles needs to be subject to judicial approval. The definition of what is considered a recording device is overly broad. Anything from a camera on a piece of clothing, a device fixated to a structure, a drone, or a 72-hour-old CCTV footage could be considered a recording device that Garda can use and access without judicial approval. Now, the information gathered regulations that Garda must follow don't make sense. After a crash, Garda often appeal to the public for dash cam footage because they are not allowed to access it themselves. Addressing these contradictions is important. How does it make sense that the Garda are appealing to the public for footage that they, technically speaking, are not allowed to record themselves? It's also worth noting, on a side note, that there is a greater risk than dashcam footage provided by members of the public could be altered. The standards of what is considered admissible in court must be considered, and what Garda are allowed to access must be reviewed and amended. If we are to introduce body cameras, it is essential that we have appropriate training for all Gardaí. A colleague in the Lower House cited a report from the Data Protection Commission that revealed that many Gardaí had little or no training on handling CCTV. Any training that Garda receive in relation to this new legislation must be very thorough. The Minister has previously tried to have the body cams use facial recognition technology, which studies have shown is only reliable 70% of the time. If there is no proper training, we risk having miscarriages of justice or cases falling apart. Appropriate steps must be taken to ensure that any features or functions on the body cams that are incompatible with Irish laws are disabled. My third and final point is that careful consideration must be given to Part 8 of the bill before we go out to tender for body cams. There is a risk of putting the cart before the horse and finding out that the body cams we purchase are incompatible with other data protection legislation. If we go out to tender too early, we may or may not be able to use them for a very long period of time. By the time the Gardaí will be able to use body cam technology, it could be outdated. Before body cams are introduced to Garda, there must be statutory requirement for a pilot programme to be put in place. That way we can find out what works and what doesn't work before rolling it out across the country. Calibrating the system is important to make sure that all devices are calibrated every single year and certified in order for the recording of material to be admissible in court. Very often systems are never checked. Recording systems may have moved. So having these systems calibrated by a PSA provider yearly will make sure that these cameras are actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. So if you could put calibration and having a licensed PSA provider calibrating the systems every year into your legislation, I think that would actually copper fasten this legislation a little bit stronger. In closing, I would like to say that I commend this move. Body cams are important to protect victims of crime, those accused of committing a crime, as well as serving members on Garda Síochána. But the many compliance issues need to be considered, so we don't risk encroaching on civil liberties or engaging in government overreach. In relation to the CCTV in regard to local authorities, as you know, local authority buildings are only open from 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. So having access to recording material after those hours is really, really important as well. So I'm just wondering, what is the plan for having those after 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening and the weekends as well to access those cameras. Thank you very much, but I actually will be supporting this. Thank you.